Hello, today I'm going to be exploring cybervetting under the prompt, is it ethical? My position is that it can be if the following criteria are met. Number one, it does not use privatized social media as the basis for the vetting. Number two, it is not applied unilaterally. And number three, it is supported by legislation. So to go into further detail, privatized social media is compromised by the profit incentive. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, even Google to an extent has a purpose to drive profit. In order to do this, though, it drives controversy. It actually benefits from controversial interactions. It provides incomplete descriptions of a person. You simply cannot get a full understanding of a person through their social media identity. And number four, it's easily manipulated, as we can see during the election cycle, what's happening now with the GameStop stocks. So yeah, privatized social media is a big issue here. Next, negotiations must be on equal terms. If vetting is to be ethical, it must not be only for the employee, it must also be for the business as well as the employer. This will help shift bargaining power from the employer to a more equitable situation in which both the employer and employee have a great understanding, how successful has each been, what kind of layoffs has the business or the employer seen, what kind of profit margins have they seen, all these kinds of questions can be more equitable. This allows for a more transparent view of how well management does, and it also allows for a better data set to be available for investors, customers, businesses, pretty much everyone to make smarter investments and purchase from. Let's see. Finally, it must be supported by policy. It simply has to, if it is to be ethical at all. In order to do so, it would create a non-biased social platform separate from the profit motive. So you would want policy that says, hey, at this point, social media has become a utility. Pretty much everybody has some kind of social media to a degree in order to communicate. If it's that widespread, essentially it's like the telephone. It's like the telephone, or even arguably the internet. We literally must have it in order to effectively sustain ourselves in the economy. Next, it allows maximum transparency, again, between businesses and the public. It makes for the inability of places like, say, zombie companies to exist. If you were to have, like, on their front page, a rating to show what kind of performance they've seen in the past year or decade, something like that. And finally, it assures the market does not abuse vetting. What I mean by this is, what if an employer simply doesn't like a former employee, right? And they do a marketing campaign on social media to simply have it out for this employee, and that ruins their future prospects. That is easily abusable in the current market system. In order to ensure that that doesn't happen, there has to be some kind of verifying element supported by legislation or policy that makes it so people can't be abused by this vetting system. And this goes both ways for companies and for people. So, in conclusion, is cybervetting ethical? My conclusion is it has the potential to be, certainly, if it transcends current social media, if it does not provide leverage to employers that it does not provide to employees, and if legislation strongly supports the fair use of vetting.